Hey guys, what's up? This is LJS here, and today I am back with another deck profile. So I have just moved out of my old house and now I'm at my friend's place, and well, the place is a bit different, so the lighting may be a bit off. So I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to set up videos. But anyways, let's get to the deck profile. So today's deck profile will be on the Eradicators Sweep Command Restanding deck, or the pseudo Restanding deck. So yes, Eradicators Sweep Command Dragon is the triple rare from set 11 that no one really uses, but now he is actually quite fun and useful with the new Narukami support from GPT-02. So this deck's main gambit is the trick of being able to restand Sweep Command. So how does this work? It mainly is the combo between these two key cards. So your starter, which is Eradicator, first Thunder Dragon hit, he is a very key card in this deck because his skill is basically, so whenever something is retired from one of your effect, if you have a grade 3 Eradicator, you can put him in a soul. If you do, search the top 10 cards for him and write him as stand. So now with the support of GPT-02, Narukami can essentially retire during the battle phase, and because of that, this skill now works to make him as if he restand. So in the past, you normally just use his skill to sort of write him over a break right, so you can potentially do like double break right in a turn. But now with this interesting new mechanic, you can actually make him sort of restand, and you can have multiple attacks in one turn, which is really cool and really good as well. So there are two key cards that enable you to retire during battle phase, which I will explain later. So let's get to the deck. So first of all, I run 3 of this guy. The first Thunder Dragon hit, as I explained, his skill is really good. It allows you to restand. So I run 3 so that you can use his skill multiple times and hopefully restand him a few times. So 1 is starter and 2 in the deck. Next we have 4 Eradicator Sweep Command Dragon, because you want run 4 because you want to maximize him and improve your chances of using his skill to restand. So his skill is not important. We don't actually use his skill because his skill is actually quite bad right now. So we mainly use him purely just for the sake of using his skill to restand. So in case you want to know his skill, just search up on internet. Basically his skill allows you to retire and stuff, which isn't actually very useful. So I will skip over that, so it's not important. Next, for grade 3, I run another 2 more Eradicator Dragonic Descendant. So Dragonic Descendant is one of those restanding Vanguards as well. So his skill is limit break 4. If this unit attack does not hit, you can counter +1, discard 3 Eradicators from hand, and you can restand and he gets an extra crit. So he is actually quite pressuring. So when your opponent's like for example 4 damage, you can use him to restand. And basically, you can also use him to restand and then also restand this guy. So potentially you can have like 3 or 4 Vanguard attacks, which so happens in one of my videos. So if you want to check out how this deck works, check out the video versus Lambros. So it's pretty cool. So I run him for 2 reasons. Number 1, he is an Eradicator. His skill requires you to have an Eradicator grade 3 Vanguard. So you want to increase having more Eradicator grade 3 so that you write him to use his skill and rewrite him as stand. And secondly, his skill is also pretty decent. Next, I run 2 of the Dragonic Vanquisher. So he's not an Eradicator, so if you write him, well, then you can't use his skill anymore. So his skill is basically, the alternative grade 3 to write, and he's really good as well. So his skill is Generation Break 2. If you retire one of your opponent's rear guard from one of your card skill, he gains 3k and a crit. So it's kind of meh, but his second skill is a good one because when you strike, you can counter +1. If you do, retire one of your opponent's front row rear guard and bind it face up. So he is in there to sort of basically work well with one of the strikes, Conquest Dragon, which I explain later. And if you write him, essentially you change your strategy. So this deck is sort of like a normal Narukami deck, Vanquisher deck, but with an additional gambit or trick of reasoning Sweep Command. So sometimes, if for example, you draw into Sweep Command, or all your Sweep Command is gone because they go into the damage zone or whatever, it has happened before, write him, because that means you can't use their skill anymore at all. Because if you have no more Sweep Command in deck, you can't restand, because he requires you to search from the top 10 cards of the deck and restand it. So yeah, so he's a useful alternative, right? And he's also useful maybe once you've used up all your Sweep Commands and your opponent still survives, write into him and use him as a sort of a finisher in combination with Vanquisher, which I'll explain later. So for grade 2, here is one of our really main cards. Voltage Horn Dragon. So he is the main card that you actually need to get his skill off, to get the restanding effect off. So his skill is basically when he is boosted, and you can, when he attacks the Vanguard and boosted, you can play a card. If you do counter blast 1, your opponent chooses one of his rear guards to retire it and bind it face up. So as you can see, this happens during battle phase, and when it happens, this sets off his skill, which you can put him in the soul, search top 10 cards of the deck, 10 cards, and look for one of him and write a stand, which means you have a chance to have a restanding Vanguard, which is pretty good. So he's a very key card, run 4 of him. Next, run 4, Demonic Dragon Berserker Shatura. As I mentioned in a previous video, he is a very, very, very good card because, well, he is pressure and he hits numbers as well. So he's 8k base unit, and his skill is actually really unique. So first one is that he cannot attack a rear guard. So he has to attack Vanguard, but it's okay, because during your turn he gains 3k, which means he's an 11k attacker. And when he hits your Vanguard, you can counter blast 1. If you do, draw a card and bind a card from his drop zone face up. So he's sort of like an anti-legion, and he puts pressure and allows you to draw cards. So yeah, so run for him for sure, definitely. Next, round 3, Fiendish Short Sword Eradicator Cho-O. So he is in there mainly as a alternative. Basically, he's in there to allow you to activate Vanquisher's skill, which I explained later. So basically, his skill is when he is placed on rear guard circle, place a eradicated rear guard into your soul. If you do, retire one of your opponent's front row rear guards. So yeah, so I'll explain later how he combos with Draconic Vanquisher, but it's in there mainly to combo with Vanquisher. For grade 1, we run 4 PGs as usual. Well, you can run PGG or normal PG, is fine, because this deck doesn't actually counterblast much. It barely counterblasts, so you don't actually really need to use Restander, Unflippers. So you can use normal Perfect Guard, which is fine. Next, I run for the Mighty Bolt Dragoon. So he is your strike fodder. You really, really must run for him, because you want to strike. You will want to activate his GB1 skill, and you also want to activate, so you can then activate his skill to restand. So striding is important. Next, I run 2 of this Iron Steel-Blooded Eradicator Shuki. So his skill is basically when if you have an eradicated Vanguard and one of your opponent's units is retired, he gains 3k. So he's basically there to help, eventually create some power pushes with your stride and stuff, which can retire stuff. Next, I run 2 of the Rising Phoenix because his skill is basically on call, so plus 2, draw a card. So this deck doesn't use soul, so use him to use soul to get some card advantage to draw. Next, I run 4 draws, 8 crits, and 4 heals. All of them are Eradicators. You want to maximize your Eradicator, the number of Eradicator units in your deck, because you want to use his skill. So you need to put Eradicators into the soul to use his skill. So with the deck having all kinds of hybrid stuff, you want to maximize the number of Eradicators you have in the deck. So run Eradicator trigger lineup. Yep. So next, for the stride, here's the second key unit to activate his skill. 2 Lightning Dragonite Zoras. So he's your first stride. Basically, his skill is when damn it. Let me focus this. Yep, so when his attack hits, your opponent chooses one of his rear guards and retire it. And then you choose 2 cards from his drop zone and bind it face up. So basically his skill is quite important. So first stride to him. If it hits, you can then, and if you have a eradicated Vanguard, for example this guy, you stride over him, attack. If it hits, you can then activate. You retire a rear guard. You can then activate his skill because your Vanguard is Eradicator and you have retired something. Put him in the soul, search your top 10 cards for a Sweep Command, write him as stand. Now, what happens to a G unit is that it goes back to the G zone. It does not go into the soul. Now you can have another attack. There we go. So it's sort of a pseudo restand. And if his skill does not hit, you have now activated his ability. So when he attacks, counter +1, retire, use his skill, search your top 10 cards for him, write him a stand, and you have another attack. If you want to see how this deck works, do watch the match I have with this deck against an Aqua Force deck, and you can see all the awesome restanding shenanigans. Next, I run 4 of the Conquering Supreme Dragon Conquest Dragon. So as I mentioned earlier, he synergizes well with Vanquisher and also Cho-Oh. So I'll explain it first. So first is skill. Basically, once a turn, he's an X skill. Once a turn, you can flip one of him face up in your G zone. If you have 2 or more face up G units, choose one of your opponent's rearguard in the front row, retire it. And then your whole front row gains 5k for every empty rearguard circle in your opponent's front row. So if you strike on him like that, use Vanquisher skill to retire one of your opponent's rearguard in the front row, then use his skill to retire the other one. Now your front row gains 10k, which is really, really good. Now let's just say your Vanguard is not him, your Vanguard is an Eradicator. Let's say this guy, you strike over him. Now you can use Cho-Oh skill instead. Call him, put a Eradicator in the soul, retire opponent's front row, then use his skill, retire another rearguard in opponent's front row. Now your opponent's front row is empty, your whole front row gains 10k. So these are ways to sort of guarantee getting 10k from his skill, which is immensely pressuring, because having 10k to your own front row is quite a power boost. So he's a very, very, very good and useful finisher as well. So you run for him because he's a persona flipper and you can use him maximum of twice. Next, I run 1 Atmos because Atmos is still pretty good. So his skill is counter +1. When he attacks a Vanguard, he gains 10k. So it's a good, he's a good late game or early game sort of power pusher if you need. And I also run 1 Blizzard because his skill is when he attacks, counter +1, choose a G unit in your G zone, turn it face up, and he gains 5k for every face up G unit in the G zone. So he's useful early game to maybe activate his GB2 skill if you want, or late game, once you run out of all the strides, you can just use him as a power pusher. Hopefully your opponent has no perfect guard and you win the game. So yeah, so that's how, so this is the Sweep Command Restanding deck. So do not rely 100% on his skill. So because this deck has a lot of retirement, other skills that are useful. We have this guy which pressure, we have this guy which retires stuff, you have this guy which combos well with your strike units, and your strike units will actually help you help bring you to win the game, even if you don't use up his Sweep Command skill, because Conquering Dragon is actually a really good skill. So, and if you're able to pull off his Restanding skill, it will be really, really good because you gain pluses. Because you -1 to get extra 2 drive tracks, so you actually +1 to yourself, and your hand size will be really big if you're able to restand him a few times. It is possible, it's theoretically possible if you have a multiple of him on the field, to restand him maybe even 3 times, because you have 3 of him. And that means you have 4 attacks in that 1 turn, which would be insane. So yeah, so this is my Sweep Command Restanding deck. I hope you guys like it. If you like it, thumbs up. And if you want to see how it works, go check out the video of him fighting against Lambros. And this has been Eradicators, and I'll see you guys next time.